Hello, everyone. My name is Rebecca Flutters. Welcome to the Ineffable podcast, and I'm here with my co-host.
Hi, I'm Maddie, or Consulting Companion 94. If you check out my AO3 account, you can find me there as well.
Welcome to the Ineffable podcast. We are your co-hosts. We talk about good omens on this podcast because we're both equally obsessed as each other, and we can't get over it for some reason as two grown adults.
Very, very true. Yes, it's been brain rotting me since I watched it almost 3 years ago at this point.
Me too. So we have 9 episodes on the docket. The 9th episode is going to be focusing on the finale, but we're not going to talk about the finale until we get to that point. So we're going to be a few weeks late, bringing our thoughts to the table on that. However, we have a lot on the docket, so I hope you all enjoy.
I'm very excited.
Me too. So today we're going to talk about 2 things. We're going to talk about, 1, what Good Omens means to us, and 2, we're going to talk about the novel, because that's where it all started. So, Maddie, what does Good Omens mean to you?
So I guess we could start how we discovered Good Omens in the first place. Maybe for me, I discovered it because I was a big David Tennant fan. Doctor Who, watched all of his runs probably more than once, and Good Omens had kind of been on my peripheral because of David and just how amazing he is. And finally, as you do when you're on the internet, I saw things popping up for Good Omens because it was getting close to when it was going to premiere, season 2. And so that's finally probably about a month, 2-ish before season 2 aired, was when I ended up binging the whole thing. The first one, just in time to be there to watch season 2. And so that was kind of my introduction, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. Remind me what I think you mentioned in previous, you're on your channel. Remind me how you got into it.
So I got into it in a very similar way. I am obsessed with David Tennant. I think everyone in my life knows that at this point.
It's no surprise to anyone of mine either.
this guy is like my god. It was it became like a weird sort of special interest sort of obsession. And Good Omens was of course on the docket, but it was at the very bottom of the docket because I thought it looks really weird. And so what happened was I was scrolling on TikTok one day and this happened to pop up. It was like, oh my god, Good Omens 2 has finally got its release date. And I was like, there's a 2? So I kind of started looking around and I was like, okay, look, he looks cool in it. I like the sunglasses. Let's have a look. And then I didn't watch the show, but I watched a compilation of Aziraphale and Crowley's best moments, and I was like, wait, are they doing gay right now? Is this gay? And then I watched
true.
And then I watched the whole thing. And I loved it. And then I waited for season 2, and then the Every leak happened. And then I got more excited because the Every leak happened. And now I'm here. And we're weeks away from the finale. Which is weird to think about. It's so weird to think about, isn't it?
We waited so long, and now it's like, wait, this is actually happening. And
actually happening.
We're down to less than 30 days. It's wild.
Oh my god, is it really less than 30 days?
It's like 22, 23, something like that.
Oh my god. Oh,
yeah.
When we get to the finale episode, we're going to be doing a lot of screaming. Just warning y'all.
Yes, I'm not even gonna deny it. I was screaming just over the trailer, and I couldn't stop thinking about it all day after the trailer dropped, and so I can only imagine what the actual episode is gonna do.
I know, and you know what? As much as it sucks that it's just one episode, we understand why it had to happen that way. We get it. We're gonna love this because Michael said we're gonna. And we have to trust Michael.
And they actually, I guess, came out with, I don't know if you've seen, Magazine did an article on
Rachel Talalay, she spoke about it.
So
And
the fact that she said that both of them texted her raving about it, I'm like, okay, good. We're in
and
good
you know
hands,
what? I trust
hopefully.
her because she's worked on Doctor Who before and she's done incredible work. So I trust her.
Yeah, so good.
And
Um,
you know what?
I was kind of similar to you with the whole like online thing, with the whole like their relationship. I thought it was just like the internet being the internet, trying to find ships anywhere they possibly can.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think too much of it. But then I actually watched season 1, and then I'm like, oh no, you're not just digging for scraps here. There is something about this. There is something to be said about what's going on between these two.
Yeah, I remember thinking, like, if they don't become canon in season 2, we're getting robbed because there is something there, and if they ignore it, then they're just being homophobes.
It's like it's obvious. Like the book scene, the like dropping the books or saving the book scene. There's just like it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. And the book.
And I actually came into I read the book a little bit later since we're focused a little more on the book this week than the show. I read it after, and I actually listened to the version that has Michael and David reading the lines. And what I really liked about it is like it almost felt ahead of its time.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of like some of the humor is like a little more, you could kind of say dark and like morbid, but you could also say edgy. I don't know how you want to phrase it, but it's kind of got more of our, it kind of has more of our generation's sense of humor than maybe the generation that it was actually written for.
God bless Terry Pratchett, man. God bless Terry Pratchett.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very, not only was it ahead of its time, but it was very, like, people complained when the show came out. They were like, yeah, especially when season 2 came out, they were like, oh, it's gone woke. They made them gay. Are you serious? Like,
It's like there were hints. There were hints. Like it wasn't as obvious in the book, but it was there.
yeah, and like, even in the book, they have this line that's like, Aziraphale is gayer than a tree of monkeys on nitrous oxide. And it's like, duh. Duh. Like, it's
Yeah.
right there.
My favorite was after Anathema, they drop her off after they hit her with the bike, and then as they're getting back in the car and Crowley calls him Angel, the line goes something along the lines of like, oh, she realized then that she had never had any reason to like worry about anything. So the subtext of the line is like, oh, she was always fine. It was just the gaze.
It's
I was
like,
fine.
did you read the book if you don't think that there was something there? You know what I'm saying? Did you read it?
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
The novel is what got
Very
us
true.
here.
Mm-hmm.
And the novel is, it's basically everything, because without the novel we wouldn't have anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted
Very
to,
true.
yeah. So
What
I
was your
thought that we
experience
could
with the novel?
touch on that today, and I thought that we could talk about the novel a little bit, and also what the
Mm-hmm.
novel and the show and everything means to us in general, because it's our first episode and this is very important, and I've never done a podcast before, so I'm fully nervous. But yeah.
Yeah. So what was your experience with the novel, and how did you feel about it?
I honestly, because I read the novel after I watched the show, or at least
Mm-hmm.
after I watched season 1, like I'd read the novel by the time season 2 came out. But I watched the show, then I read the novel, and I thought, okay, the novel is a bit bizarre. Let's be honest. It's bizarre in a good way,
Mm-hmm.
but it's bizarre. It's like there's so many things going on, and they actually have to have a list of all the characters at the beginning of the novel and who they are and what their purpose is, just so you're caught up in everything and your brain doesn't frazzle because there's just so much going on at the one time.
There is. I think that's definitely why, like, when we get to talking about the show, why there is such a distinct difference between, like, season 1 and season 2. They definitely, like, zero in, like, a microscope on a much smaller scale story in season 2 than they did in season 1. There's a lot going on in the book as
Yeah.
you try to follow the book. And there's even more in the book than the show that didn't even make it into the show, like the 4 extra horsemen that they, whatever the name they call themselves, that like tag along right in the actual horsemen.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting.
Yeah, I know. And it's just like the book kind of has see the fandom itself is so focused on Aziraphale and Crowley, but what I find really endearing is that the book doesn't really care about them at all.
Hmm. They
the
really are, like, they're kind of to the side as you read it or even, like, watch the show. They've even expanded Crowley and Aziraphale in the show from what it was into the book, but they still, even in the show, feel like just they're just one portion of a very big, larger story.
Yeah. And I did this after I read the book. I went onto forums and found out whether or not people shipped Aziraphale and Crowley back in the day. They did. They absolutely did.
I believe it.
They absolutely
I
did.
mean,
Like
it's
it
that
was everywhere.
enemies to lovers trope, right? That's why it's one of the biggest there is.
Well, it's not really enemies to lovers, even in the book. Like in the book, they're immediately like, "Hey, bro, what's up?" you know?
This is true. Supposed to be enemies to lovers.
Supposed to be that. You know what? That's my new catchphrase. Supposed to be enemies to lovers. I love that.
Very, very true. And like reading the book after seeing the show, it was impressive how they did stick pretty faithfully to the book and knowing that's like, okay, yeah, you really captured the essence of what this book brought to the table and what it was. Because I feel like that's for me what decides on if a piece of media like the book transfers well to another piece of media is if it gets into the hands of somebody who recognizes like this is popular for a reason. It's got a fan base for a reason. I think that's why we know the disaster with the movie they tried to make and
Mm-hmm.
how it didn't turn out. I think it was like what Robin Williams and Johnny
Johnny
Depp
Depp, I
that
think.
they were
Yeah.
considering for them,
Imagine
and
that.
like totally stations. It would have been so weird.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Like
Hmm.
I can't
And so
picture that.
no, no, it doesn't feel the same. We just see them this way now, but that's for me what makes it a piece of media and know if it's going to transfer well is if it's put in the hands of someone that recognizes what makes it popular and what they can do to elevate it based on what's in the original material and not just go off on like an ego boost and be like, oh, I'm cleverer. I know what will, this scene wouldn't be so cool if I made this change or added in this scene. Like, no, the book had its fan base for a reason. And that's why, I love adaptations like the new Project Hail Mary movie, the Wicked movies, the Hunger Games movies,
Mm-hmm.
the certain things like that. I like those a lot better than like the Percy Jackson movies that we don't talk about because you could tell that there's just such a difference in what respect they have for the original source material and what was there.
Yeah, exactly. And like I feel like with Good Omens they had to get it right because it was
Mm-hmm.
honoring Terry Pratchett's name and it was done. It was a death wish for him. He actually said that
Mm-hmm.
on his deathbed. He wrote a letter to the producers and was like, "You need to make this." And they were like, "Okay." And they did it. I think they added things, but they added things that he would have been on board with. They didn't add anything
Yeah.
that he wouldn't have been okay with, which I think is so nice as well because a lot of the time, like I have an example for this. I found out about this when I was a kid because I'm not like I'm a young adult. I've been a kid recently, you know. I
Mm-hmm.
found out that after the creator for SpongeBob died, he before he died, he asked Nickelodeon not to make any more spin-offs, and as soon as he died, they announced a spin-off. And I just thought that
Ugh.
that was so gross and so not
Yeah.
right. And I
Like,
remember thinking like, ew, you know? And I'm just glad that when they went into this, they went into this with grace and respect for him
mm-hmm.
because companies don't do that anymore.
Everybody, I think, had respect for the source material, not just like the production team, but obviously Michael had been a fan for years, and so you knew he was coming at it from a place of love. And how interesting, even again talking casting, that he was so in touch with the material that I laugh at him and the producers. They or author, we how there was the whole back and forth of he didn't like he was originally going to be Crowley. They were reading
Mm-hmm.
him for Crowley, but I laugh at the back and forth about like neither of them wanted to tell each other that they both in the back of their heads felt that that wasn't the right fit, that it needed to be a Aziraphale. And then finally when they both came to each other, then it was like, oh, okay, good. I've been stressing about telling you this is how I felt. But that's his where he came from it. And then David, I think I saw in an interview, said that he really didn't realize what he was getting into until closer to when it premiered, and then he realized, oh yeah, these guys are like hardcore, die hard. I really gotta this is really important to a lot of people.
Yeah, like I remember seeing an interview with David Tennant and him being like, I didn't read the book like when it first came out or anything, but I knew how important this was to so many people. Like I've seen he said actually, I've been to Comic Cons and I've seen Aziraphale and Crowley's always in pairs. And it's so important to
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much.
Me too. And it has me thinking
Because you
like,
can I think you can tell when things are just a money grab and when they have respect for it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And you know what my favorite part of the novel is?
What?
Adam.
Yes.
Adam takes center stage in this book, and I love him for it.
He
Cause
is so just he's so fun.
yeah, he's such a fun character. And normally, because I'm not very fond of children. I know you probably shouldn't say that on the internet, but it's just the truth. I didn't expect to like him or his friends. I was sitting there thinking, "Oh God, I got into this for David Tennant. What am I doing here?" And then I found myself really loving that group and those characters and what they were getting.
That's another example of when we just said how like ahead of its time Good Omens was, is I think we see a little bit more of it maybe now, but those kids are just like so precocious and so like you don't see a whole lot of that in maybe that's a little more modern media that you see kids like that, but that just it blended so well modern like with modern media, and it fit the adaptation so well they didn't have to make really any changes to how the kids acted to make it feel modern. It just worked.
Mhm. Like when you it's really odd when you watch the show and then you read the book back to back, which I have done.
Mm-hmm.
Call me obsessed, but I have done it. And it's so weird because the book it's different, but it's good different. You never feel that any of it is like outdated or offensive or anything.
Yeah.
You just think it
Yeah.
is, oh, this is a great piece of media and it deserves to be respected.
The only thing that kind of dates it, yeah, is maybe some of the technology references, like Crowley having one of those old car phones, but rather than a cell phone. But other than that, it really does blend pretty seamlessly into what would still work today.
Yeah, like even like I remember seeing some people be like, "Oh, the gayer than a tree full of monkeys on nitrous oxide was homophobic," and I'm like, "Was it? Was it homophobic?
Was it
No.
though?
Was it though? No, I don't like as a gay. I really don't think it was homophobic."
It's like no, it was just him being honest.
Yeah, and you know what? Even without the romance with Crowley, I see it. I see it. It's there.
Yep. He's that very fussy, very posh, very like yeah. You can definitely see that.
With Crowley, he gives me the vibes of Freddie Mercury. I think that's the point. Like in the book, he gives me
Oh
Freddie
yeah.
Mercury vibes.
Oh yeah. And David captures that so well too. Just everything about him, his like his swagger with the pants and the little bit of a hiss he has in his voice, like the just rock star edge that he gives it. It's so perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought I'd ask, and you can be
Mm-hmm.
as honest or not honest as you want to be. What does Good Omens mean to you on a religious level? If you're comfortable talking.
Yeah. So we've mentioned together as we've like prepared for this that I am a religious person, and that is one thing that I really. That's another thing that I appreciate about it is it feels like I'm one who really can appreciate like poking fun at people's like eccentricities, quirks, and cultural quirks, and my own, like including in my own religion. And so that I really feel like it toed the line really well of um having that balance of okay, we're gonna like poke fun at this and maybe poke out like point out a few things that it's like okay, yeah, that's another way to look at it. That's maybe I'd never thought of it from that perspective before, but that's what I love about like they toe that line of poking fun at it without feeling like they are like disregarding people's beliefs or disregard or like trying to be disrespectful of it or irreverent of it or whatever. There's plenty of media out there that just when it comes to religion they just say it's a free for all, and as long as you're like I don't know, as long as you do it in the name of comedy anything goes. But I love that this really, even though it shines a different light on things and like maybe is a little bit critiquey, a little bit satirical, it doesn't ever cross that line of feeling like, oh, this is a little not respectful or whatever. The only scene that maybe I fast forward when I show it to people is the crucifixion scene, just because
Yeah.
that imagery for some people can be a little bit like even though even that scene is they still do it fairly tastefully, but just even that little bit feels just a little bit icky.
Like I am not
For
religious
some people.
myself. I'm not religious myself, and even I find that scene hard to watch. Like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I
So that's what
find
I
it
appreciate about it.
Yeah, like I don't find it distasteful per se. I just find it unnecessarily gory. I'm like
Mhm.
I'm like
Mhm.
why? But other than
Yeah.
that, I'm cool. I'm chill with it.
Yeah. And
And
I think also what sticks out to me is like I think the reason a lot of people love this is maybe because they see themselves in either Crowley or Aziraphale, or maybe a combination of both. There's a lot I love about Crowley, um, but as far as like who I am as a person, I maybe feel a little bit more like I gravitate toward Aziraphale because, like, I'm a foodie. I'm obsessed with books, reading all the
mhm.
time, very appreciative of the arts, that kind of a thing. But that on the surface, and then there's what you mentioned the religious aspect, I see a lot of like I know a lot of people were so mad after like I guess there have been multiple points where like when he just has this pattern of wanting to believe the best in heaven and the plan and God and all of that. He really wants to believe in the good that he sees in what he believes it can be. And I think there are some people who just are straight up stick with Crowley, like they view it from him, like let the whole system burn. And I've known plenty of people like that in my life who have decided that because of experiences that they've had, that they're walking away from religion and all of that stuff. Um, and I can't, and like that's their decision to make, and I'm not going to love them any less for that. But for me, I feel like definitely more like Aziraphale, where it's like if I see the good that is here and the good that it has brought into my life, who is going to be there? Who is going to make those changes, make this a better place, make this the place I hope that it can be if everyone just abandons ship. If there's no one left to fight for the good that's here, then how are the bad or struggling parts going to get any better? Kind of a
Exactly.
thing.
And I
So
think,
I really see that from him.
yeah. And so, like, it makes sense that, like, at the end of season 2, some people were like, Team Aziraphale or Team Crowley. Because a lot of people see themselves in Aziraphale, and that's fine. Because
Hmm.
at the end of the day, this is fiction. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be this, like, life or death situation of, like, oh, this is disrespecting my religion. It's not. It's just kind of seeing heaven in this fictional show as a corporation that needs to change rather than the religion itself needs to change. Like you can see in the book and in the show that Crowley does pray to God when he feels really, really bad. So he does still believe in God. It's not that he doesn't. It's just that the corporation has failed.
Mm-hmm. And maybe that's the power of the book and the show is that maybe people who are a little less open-minded, maybe people who are kind of don't want to understand people who maybe view things differently than they do. Maybe this will open their hearts a little bit. Maybe it could, make people stop and think and be like, okay, maybe I still don't fully agree with you, but we can coexist and we can still be on that plane of respecting each other as people and as humans and all that good stuff.
Yeah, because you can see that, like, in the book and in the show, Aziraphale and Crowley have to have this relationship that's, like, kind of a bit contradictory. It should be
Mhm.
contradictory, but they know that they
Mhm.
have different viewpoints and different perspectives, and they still, for lack of a better term, love each other. They love each other.
Yeah. Exactly. They both help each other bring like these different perspectives to each other. I think Crowley helps Aziraphale be a little less rose-colored glasses, and Aziraphale helps Crowley like be a little bit less knee-jerk reactiony and a little less cynical maybe, and actually like think about things rather than just act, I guess is the way to put it.
Yeah,
So
that's
like just like they said in one of their interviews, they're the into each other's yang. They like balance each other out.
yeah, and I think you know what I think is really cool as well, the fact that when the original novel was being conceived, Aziraphale and Crowley were meant to be one character. And I feel like, it's I don't know how to explain it, but you make a really good point about how they both represent two sides of the same coin. Well, not the same coin, but the kind of I don't know how to put it. It's like two sides of, well, yeah, the same coin. Like Crowley's kind of like cynical, and he's kind of sitting there like, oh, it doesn't, none of it matters, and Aziraphale still has hope, and they represent human beings in that sense. And you make a really good point.
Yeah, I read somewhere online that someone is of the opinion that, like, at this point, they are much more human than they are angel or demon.
Oh yeah.
Like, I think they both definitely they want to do their own thing. They have become their own people and not just the places that they came from. And I think that's the key of their, yeah. We'll get more to season 2, but I think that is the crux of the issues that we face in all throughout their relationship, but particularly in how season 2 ended.
Yeah. It's it's kind of like, and this is true for the book and the show. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I think they should be humans. I think that's how it should have ended. And maybe that's just a blasé opinion, but it would have made a lot of sense.
I'll be very interested to see how things end because people have some very, very polarizing opinions on that opinion. Some people are like, that's the only way it could end because that's the only way they're going to be free of either of their sides. But there are some people who are like, no, how dare you suggest that they have lived 6,000 years and not been able to be together, and now they're just going to get like one human lifetime and then be done after waiting all that time.
See, yeah, I see. That's why I like the idea, but I don't like the idea of them not being together due to that fact. Like I like the idea of them being together forever.
Mm-hmm. Because that's really, I think, why we got more seasons than just the book. Because with the book, they talked about doing a sequel, and then it just never happened. And now we're finally figuring out what would have happened in that sequel. But all we really knew is, I think it was Terry who threw out there like, oh, they're living in a cottage in the South Downs by the seaside, and we've all just latched onto that ever since.
If that's not gay, what is?
Right?
Like, people say, oh, it was never supposed to be gay. What's that? What is that?
Right? Saying they're living together in a cottage. Like
If
what do you think?
like, if Crowley was a girl, this would be viewed so differently.
Yep.
Or if like Aziraphale was a girl. I don't know. However you want to put it.
So since you asked me, what do you feel like is your connection? What does Good Omens mean to you?
Well, okay, and this is the part where I'm gonna get like really cheesy and corny and blah about mental health, but yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Do
So
it.
I have OCD. I've been open about that on the channel before. I've really struggled with it, and Good Omens has been a sort of comfort show for me.
Mm-hmm.
Not only the show, but the fandom itself has been a comfort for me because, as psycho as we all are, it's nice to just get away for a while and not think about all the intrusive thoughts that go through my head and just be in a place where I don't have to think about all that. And yeah, Doctor Who does it, but Doctor Who is also has one of the most negative fandoms I've ever seen. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's kind of like Good Omens is that safe spot. And when I got into Good Omens, not only did it help my OCD, but it helped any sort of depressive episodes I might have had. I don't have depression. I'm not clinically diagnosed, but being physically disabled does leave you in a vulnerable state sometimes. And it makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel down about yourself and what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. And just getting to know these characters and getting to be a part, not really a part, but getting to know their love story and things like that. It really just put a smile on my face when I felt like I couldn't smile, if that's not depressing to say.
I love that.
And that's why I started doing the podfics. That's why I started making my own fanfics, because I was like, this is good for me because I can't work
Yeah.
and I'm on disability and it's blah sometimes and it's kind of an escapism for me.
I love that. I
Thank
definitely
you.
do think that sometimes like different bits of media grab us, and that's why I've loved it for so many years, because I feel like different fandoms have come into my life at different times, and like I've latched onto them. But I feel like before Good Omens, and even since, I haven't. It had been a while since anything had like grabbed my brain and made me not being able to stop thinking about it. And nothing, even 3 years almost later, nothing still has grabbed my attention and my focus like Good Omens has. So there's just something about the fandom that just like sucked me in and refuses to let go.
I think a lot of it, and I'm going to be honest here, I think a lot of it is to do with the fandom, which we're doing our own episode on, and we'll get into it at a later date. But because we decided to do our own episode because the fandom is just that big, and I feel like it deserves its own episode. But I feel like a lot of it, yeah, is the fandom. Like the fandom, when you go into it, they're so kind and caring and accepting of you.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Doctor Who, for example, which is another major fandom that I've had to step out of because it's just so negative.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Good Omens is like, Good Omens has a lot of the same actors, producers, team of people, and yet somehow now you have a fandom that's the complete opposite of the Whoniverse, in which they're actually nice about the show and they care about it and they want it to succeed. And they like it. They like what they're being given instead of complaining every 5 minutes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even when we found out that the finale was just going to be this 90-minute epic, that's what we called it, a 90-minute epic, because that's what it's going to be. I know that it's not ideal for what we wanted, and I know that what happened behind the scenes was awful, but at the end of the day, people didn't complain as much as I thought they were going to, and that was very refreshing. Because I thought that people
Mm-hmm.
were going to complain to high heaven and be like, no, this isn't allowed, this is homophobic. And I was going to be like, no, things are actually going on in the world. You can't always blame homophobia.
Mm-hmm.
And I.
And And I agree with that. Like,
Mhm.
even the people who were most vocal about their disappointment and being robbed of, yeah, we should have gotten 6 hours of content. We were robbed of that. That cannot be denied. But even most of the people who venting their frustrations about did still come back to that place of, you know what? At the end of the day, we are getting a resolution. We are getting something, and we're not just gonna have to wonder the rest of our lives what would have happened, because unfortunately in today's world, we yeah, I think a lot of times I've been burned by a fair amount of shows the last few years, as TV has become more fickle with like, oh, this looks really good and amazing and I love this. And then it gets to maybe 2 seasons and then it's canceled.
Our flag beam's
And so the
dead. That's
fact
a
that
good
it was
example.
resurrected from the dead.
Yeah. I think it's so cool that we've managed to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know what? I don't even care that it's 90 minutes long. The fact that we managed to get here with
Mm-hmm.
everything going on and all the horrible stuff that's come out is a miracle within itself. A Good Omens
And that
miracle,
everyone
if
was
you
so
will.
exactly. And that everyone involved was just so willing to put the fans first, make this happen and have respect for the story and Terry and the fans, and that they were willing to do what they needed to do and fight to make this happen is just amazing.
I know, like, people are gonna complain when it comes out. People are gonna be like, oh, it was rushed, because it is gonna be rushed. Let's not lie about it. It is gonna be rushed. But people are going to say that, right? But I'm going to be sitting here saying, yes, it was rushed, but we got something. We got our ending, and that's what matters, right? It is going to be rushed. It's probably, I'm not going to say it's going to suck, because we don't know. We don't know how it's going to be. We don't know how good or bad it's going to be. But listen, at least we got something. Like, people, I remember when all the stuff came out, and people were like saying, oh, if Amazon cancel it, they're homophobic. And I used to get so angry, because I was like, you know that's not the case. You know you're just trying to blame this on something else. And you know that if we don't get anything, it's not because of that. You know what I mean? Like, I remember someone saying that Amazon very nearly did cancel the show point blank. And then Terry Pratchett's daughter came to Amazon and said, look, let's do we have to do something, you know? And then I think the
because,
credits
like
and
we're
everything.
saying, yeah, because like we were saying, even with the book, people were asking, well, what happens next? Where do they end up? That's kind of left open-ended at the book. Like, where do they end up? And so now, all these decades later, we're getting our answers.
Yes, and I think that is so good though. And like I said, people are going to complain. I don't care. I honestly do not care how many people complain about this. I'm just happy. I'm so happy that this 90-minute finale is coming to us within weeks. And we're finally going to get our resolution after what, 3 years? Like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's basically going to be pretty close to 3 years. And I'm like, yeah, we really need to stop with this trend of things taking so long all the time in the streaming era. It drives me crazy.
It does. It drives me crazy as well. It's mad. But it's like...
But we're just... Go ahead.
Oh, no, you go.
I didn't really have anything, so you just go.
Oh, sorry. Okay. And I think even if, like, let's say worst case scenario, right? It sucks. Let's say it's really bad. I am still gonna come out of this going, it was better than fan fiction, right? Because it's real, it's official, it's canon. It's not AO3 stuff, which I don't disrespect. I love AO3 fanfics. I read them all the time. But it's official now.
Better than leaving it at the final 15.
Yeah, like, leaving it at the final 15 would have been dreadful. Like, imagine someone new getting into the show and being like, oh, this looks so cute, and shipping Aziraphale and Crowley and wanting them to be together, no finale, right? And then finding out that that's it. Like, how would you feel if that were you, you know?
It would kill the fandom. Like, how would you feel if you could recommend that to somebody knowing that it was just dead?
Well, you know what? People said the same thing about... Have you ever heard of Our Flag Means Death?
Yes, I've heard of it.
I haven't seen it, but people said the same thing, because I know there's a gay romance in there somewhere. And people said the same thing. Because it got cancelled after 2 seasons, but at least they got their resolution. And the show, from what I've seen, isn't very good. And I'm sorry to the Our Flag Means Death fans that might be listening, but from what I've heard, it isn't a very good show. So it's not surprising to me that it got cancelled. However, at least your lovebirds got to have their resolution. That's all I'm gonna say. Because because in Our Flag Means Death, because I found out about it because the parallels and comparisons between Aziraphale and Crowley's quote-unquote ending and the season 1 ending of Our Flag Means Death, which saw our parallels separate like Aziraphale and Crowley did at around the same time that this was airing as well. And people who were fans of both just thought they were being tortured because they were both happening at the same time. And after that, people were like, okay, season 2's coming, it's gonna fix everything. Season 2 did come, did fix everything, but then it got cancelled, and people wondered why. It got cancelled because it was bad.
I can't speak either way, but yeah, I know there's a lot of uproar when it got canceled. Like, how dare you?
I wouldn't have understood. Like, I understand a lot of shows getting cancelled, especially gay shows, because hear me out, right? I say this as a lesbian. A lot of the gay shows that we get are only focused on that. They're not focused on telling good stories. Good Omens is an exception to that. So I would have actually been shocked if Good Omens had gotten completely, like, this is pre-allegations, by the way, if it had gotten completely cancelled in December 2020. Because that's a good show. It's a good
Mm-hmm.
show that people like, that straight people like, that gay people like, that every color of the rainbow, we all like it. So I would have been so shell shocked if it had actually gotten cancelled. Because it's on the popularity level of, like, Doctor Who, at least in the UK.
And that's the thing that I love about it is like all the representation, quote unquote, in Good Omens is just there. People just being people and being who they are, and literally nothing is said about it. There's no like preaching, there's no guilt tripping, there's no like feeling like you're shaming people or like whatever. It is just the people there just are in whatever form they are. And so I'm like, how would that be if the world was like that and just everyone minded their own business, everyone just could be who they were, and there wasn't any of this like craziness that we see in the world now. Like that's I think why so many people like it and can appreciate it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think so too. And I think it's just one of those rare shows that has representation, but does it right. And
Mhm.
the book as well. The book, while small in representation, still does it and still does it right.
Mhm.
And the
Definitely
book is
agree.
yeah, and the book is like why we're here. Like some people in the fandom will say, "Oh, I don't like the book." How do you like the show then? If you don't like
Yeah,
the book?
yeah,
Normally I
that's
don't
why
like I don't get all blasé on other people's opinions, but like why are you here if you don't even like the book? What are you doing?
yeah, like it that's why even though sometimes I do like franchises or sequels or whatever, like they can be done well, but that's why I do have kind of some burnout with franchises and why I loved Good Omens too, because it's such a unique like like you said, you're just focusing on telling good stories. That's why I think Project Hail Mary, the recent movie that I mentioned, has blown up like it has, is because it's new, it's different, it's an like original-ish IP. Yes, the book came first, but movie-wise, it's new. People are craving something new and inventive and exciting and creative and something that's not just rehashing the same five things we've been saying for the last decade.
Yeah, and I love that. I haven't seen it yet, but I would love to see it because I've heard such great things about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I think that's why Good Omens works, is
yeah,
because it has that base of, even though it's not technically an original IP, they found something that was unique and different and took a chance on it.
and it's so brilliant. It is honestly, and I'm not even saying this like I'm saying this as a writer. It is such a brilliant story.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Agree.
mhm. It's so it's just itself and it's not ashamed to be itself and it doesn't pander to today's standards. It just is what it is. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Right, I think we're out of time actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the time too, and yeah, we've gone on for a minute. So, woohoo!
Well, this was incredibly fun.
Definitely.
All right, so next week we are going to be talking about the audio book version with David Tennant and Michael Sheen plus the radio play. I can't wait to talk about the radio play because the actor who plays Crowley, I love him.
Oh, interesting. I don't even think I know who it is. I'm excited to hear your thoughts.
No, you know what? I'm excited too. Okay, guys, I'm Rebecca.
And I'm Maddie.
And this has been the Ineffable Podcast. See you all
Bye.
next week. Bye.